What's up everyone, it's your boy Scott, and welcome to the Scott Report. Today, I'm reviewing another entry in the Gundam franchise, one that I feel deserves way more attention when it comes to the franchise outside Japan for various reasons that we'll cover today. First, I'd like to give a huge thank you to the Right Stuf Anime staff and their publishing company Nozomi Entertainment for providing me with a physical copy of this series for review. You can find a vast majority of major Gundam titles for purchase on their site. The link is in the description below too if you would like to purchase this series or indulge in a vast selection of Gundam greatness over at Right Stuf. Be sure to check them out. And to give credit where it's due, it's because of them that we can now all experience this series that many regard as a hidden gem in the Gundam franchise, because until recently, there wasn't a way to watch this series or to own it. For today's feature, we're taking a look at the most ambitious entry in the Gundam franchise, Turn A Gundam.
Turn A Gundam.
As a man who rarely pulls his punches, I'll say this now to get it out the way and to avoid giving a wrong impression about how I feel about this series, but Turn A Gundam is slow as hell. And that small and eventually minor point is the one thing that deterred me from ever finishing the series when I was watching it at a much younger age. Now again, I am here to stress that this is by no means a bad thing. In fact, this is just an opinion I had of it on my first attempt at watching the series. Now, as a more seasoned anime watcher who has aged a little bit in my anime watching life, I'm able to understand and appreciate what Turn A was trying to do even more now than ever. It takes a certain level of maturity to watch this series that I just didn't have at the time, especially if you've seen other entries in the franchise prior. Gundam as a whole can be big-brained, and Turn A is mega-brained. Getting more into what Turn A Gundam is about is very interesting though. For all intents and purposes, Turn A Gundam is set in an undisclosed time, but in that time, for 2,000 years, a separate race of humanity has lived on the moon. These people are known as the Moon Race, and their technology is leaps and bounds beyond those that stayed on Earth. Now seeking to return to their original home, the Moon Race send 3 teenagers, Lauren, Keith, and Fran, down to Earth on a reconnaissance mission to test the viability of his environment. After spending a year on Earth, Lauren has become friends with Sochi and Keel, daughters of the prestigious Heim family, and he looks forward to integrating into the Earth society. But before Lauren can get his chance to make his report, the Moon Race launches a surprise attack. The weapons of Earth are supremely inferior to the Moon Race when it comes to this attack. However, in the midst of the attack, Lauren and Sochi uncover a long-forgotten relic, a white mobile suit, known as the Turn A Gundam. By being a member of the Moon Race himself, Lauren is quickly able to grasp the basics of piloting it, but by doing so, he inadvertently places himself in the middle of a war. At the top of the video, I mentioned that there are some very interesting things about this series, and that really is an understatement because it is so unconventional compared to what we've seen in Gundam before. For example, the Turn A itself and the designs were done by the legendary Sid Mead of Alien and Blade Runner poster fame. We also have another legend in Yoko Kanno as the composer of this series, and if it was anything that I had to pick that I love the most about this series, it was the OST and the work that she done for it. The Turn A Gundam itself, however, took a lot longer for me to get used to, much like my opinion of the series itself. Initially, I just wasn't a fan of the design. I flat out hated it with all due respect to the artist. However, once it settled in with this world and the series that we're in, I started to warm up to the fact that the Turn A is supposed to be seen as something alien, something truly out of this world. And now with that understood, the creature-like look of the Turn A just seemed to make a lot more sense once I got into it. Still not a fan of the mustache, and the hilarious fact that you actually pilot this thing from the cockpit. Yeah, really. Stuff like that has to be chalked up to just the oddball humor like a majority of the series and the Moon Race in general as well. The more calm, serene, and slice-of-life elements that dominate almost the entire first half of Turn A is what you have to come into appreciating, and you'll have to warm up to it quickly or you may not have a good time with this series. While this isn't the first time Gundam has strayed from the path, heck, G Gundam, which turned the franchise on its ear, was everything Gundam was not. But one thing G Gundam did have going for it is that at the same time, it was also a lot of what anime was at the time, so it was more widely accepted. Turn A, on the other hand, felt more like a TV series or a drama with mecha elements sprinkled in. The aspect of war and conflict is still there, but at the base you spend many episodes in a town just doing regular slice of life type of things, like using a mech to solve problems to create a mechanism to washing clothes, versus a war between technology that still arrives, but in most cases it serves as a means to conclude the episode to keep the overarching plot. Another one of the reasons that Turn A may be a little bit overlooked as far as the larger aspect is that it's part of the other half of the Gundam franchise that's yet to be dubbed, thus making it extremely hard to find by legal means. While the Toonami years gave us a substantial run of Gundam dubbed, more than I recall or even remember in fact, there's still a little bit over a handful of this franchise that have yet to see the light of day when it comes to localization, such as Victory, Double Zeta, Age, and G-Reco. And with Turn A probably being the most important series in the franchise, not only because it was Tomino's return, but for a reason we'll get into soon, it's a shame that more attention wasn't given to this one sooner. The campiness of Turn A was also unexpected, given how grounded and slow-paced the series is at its start. I felt myself really just wanting to get into space, which you do in the second half. What I also didn't expect was to actually want to go back to Earth when we finally did get to space. The dynamic between the citizens of Earth and the moon race just felt so much more dynamic when you're faced with the odds being against Lauren as far as assistance when it came to being outgunned, because even though the Turn A was and probably still is the most broken Gundam ever, it was cool to see the little hidden relics in the other series like older suits and just callbacks to other things appear like hidden treasures. When we got into space, we had to deal with the mustache twirling villains and their out of this world style and spades, and that wasn't as refreshing as what we were getting on Earth. I think one of the biggest things Turn A pulled off well was showing how different and how zany the moon race was, even though I just said all this though. So when it became the center, I don't know, I just felt a little bit overwhelmed with just how out there they was. Harry Ord is our resident Shark clone, but you'd think he stepped off of a Met Gala runway versus being the epitome of cool when you came to the type of characters that usually has that monkier of being a Shark clone, even if he still had the demeanor that was needed. Meanwhile, the main villain of the series, Jim Gingham, was so over the top and campy, I just felt like I was watching an old Colonial era parody, versus a bad guy that I should truly fear or even be a little bit afraid of or even relate to on their side of the battle. Outside of Princess Diana, which I'm pretty sure is a reference, the moon race in general are just jerks and easy to root against. My last topic is why I feel Turn A is the most important series in the franchise, although it is heavy spoilerish from this point on. The part that I would like to point out and why I feel that Turn A Gundam is the most important is the dark history plot point. Major spoilers ahead once again here, so if you would like to remain pure with the series, avoid the next minute or so, then come back and watch this video, because we're going to start right now. It's revealed that the dark history is actually the 1-year war of the Universal Century's 0079, thus making Turn A Gundam canon and not an alternate century series. Even though it looks like this world may even predate 0079, it's actually the far future where technology has been reset due to the constant war between Earth and space. The moon race kept pushing forward while Earth just scaled back their technology. The Turn A is a living organism and it also has the ability to destroy or connect worlds, thus explaining that the alternate century shows such as Wing, G, and Afterwar Gundam X do exist, just in their own pockets of reality. It was a very ambitious idea by Tomino to take the two separate universes, the one that he created with the Universal Century, as well as the alternate century that was done by other people, and make them all come together and connect with this series. And with him actually returning to the franchise once again, that was the perfect moment for that to happen. In conclusion, I really enjoyed Turn A Gundam overall, and I do hold it a little bit higher among my favorites. However, I feel it can be a little bit too slow to recommend to someone who's just starting the franchise. In fact, you may want to watch a few of the older series first to appreciate the change of tone that it presents. Add that to the actual mythos of Gundam being tied into the general plot and the conclusion. To watch an older series and then come back and watch Turn A later will not only enhance your experience with Turn A, but it also will become essential and you will probably end up truly loving the series in the end like I did. Turn A Gundam was a truly different and fantastic ride, especially being a seasoned veteran to the Gundam franchise. I'm glad I revisited Gundam franchise with a more mature mind versus how I was when I first tried to watch the series, because I came out of it with even more appreciation and more understanding of what it was trying to do. And for that, I'm glad that I was able to dive in, because even though it felt so unfamiliar, it was an absolute blast. And that's it for today's feature. Once again, I'd like to give a big thank you to Right Stuf Anime, as well as Nozomi Entertainment for making this series available for all. And thank you for watching. If you liked the video, go ahead and drop it a like, and if you want to hear more, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And be sure to hit that bell as well, so when I drop a video, you'll be notified. And as I always say, you guys can be anywhere on YouTube right now, but you chose to listen to me. And I really appreciate that, so thanks for stopping by. On that note, it's your boy Scott signing out. See you soon.